Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our council meeting, Municipality of Meaford, this afternoon, June the 9th. And I'm going to call the meeting to order and invite everyone to stand as you are able to join us in O Canada. Now I'll just invite you to join me in a moment of silent reflection on today's business. Thank you. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest today? Seeing none, just a reminder to bring it forward when it or if it occurs to you. Announcements. Around the horseshoe, Councillor Urick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's a big weekend in Bogner. There's a couple of things going on this weekend. There's going to be the third annual Friendship Tea Social. And it would be remiss of me if I didn't point out that Councillor Bartley and Councillor Forder and myself will be there to help serve some of the delicious desserts and tea that they're going to be having. So that's always a fun event. Encourage people to come out. That's at 12, 1, and 2, 3 different bookings. So get your table reserved. And that's at the Bogner Community Center. So look forward to hopefully seeing everybody out there. Following that, because Bogner's just a happening place, they've got the Riverbank Duo playing on the Sunday. It's going to be a country tune-up day, they're calling it. The Drowsy Fiddlers are playing, so they're going to be there from 2 to 4 on Sunday, June 15th. It's a pay-what-you-can event, and again, just get out to support the Bogner facility. They have a lot of great things happening out there. They're a lot of fun. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Keaveney.
Thank you very much, Your Worship, and good afternoon, everyone. And just following up on Bogner again, on Saturday, of course, the 14th, is also the ribbon cutting ceremony for the Twin Bridges. And this is just so exciting. We've announced this before, but just a reminder for anyone who is interested or able to come out for 11 o'clock for a special little ceremony. And again, we are just super excited to finally have these bridges completed. So it's going to be a very special event. Thank you.
No other announcements? Oh, Councillor Greenfield.
Thank you, Your Worship. And I think perhaps the first announcement I should do would be the land acknowledgement. If you will bear with me, we would like to begin by acknowledging that we are meeting with respect on the traditional lands and treaty territory of the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation, which includes the Chippewas of Nawash unceded First Nation and the Chippewas of Saugeen First Nation. We also recognize the Métis, whose ancestors shared this land and these waters. We extend our gratitude to all Anishinaabe and Métis people and their descendants, past, present, and future, who continue to care for and inhabit these lands and tend these waters. And I do have one other.
Yes, thank you. I want to thank you, Councillor Greenfield, and my apologies for having missed an item on the agenda.
Okay, I just want to remind everyone, this involves an event that's not taking place for a few months, but there are scarecrow building workshops going to be held down at our wonderful Harbor Pavilion. The first one is Tuesday, June 10th, which is tomorrow, and also Tuesday, June 17th. And if you're not available for those, Thursday, June 12th and the 19th, 9 o'clock in the morning until noon. And I understand no experience is necessary. Thank you.
Okay, I don't see any other announcements on this side of the horseshoe, so I think in the same vein of just, although it's early, we can't mention often enough to reserve July 18 and 19 on your calendars this summer. On July the 18th, the 4th Canadian Division Training Center is going to present themselves in Meaford to ask for the keys to the city. And it will be, I believe, our pleasure to present them. So that it's going to be an amazing ceremony, and it will be a real crowd pleaser. And there will also be a reception at the community center following, where you can meet some of the 200 soldiers who will be taking part in this time-honored tradition in Meaford that day. And then on the Saturday, the 19th, it'll be open house at the training center, which is something that people look forward to because they don't happen every year or terribly often, and it's always a great opportunity to visit familiar locations on the range and to mix and mingle with our friends at the base. So I'm going to ask, is there any announcements from the other side of the table here? Okay, then we'll move on to public participation. Members of the public are always encouraged to provide council with their comments and questions. Presentations must be prearranged with legislative services before the agenda is released and will be limited to 10 minutes. If a member of the public wishes to make a deputation on items on the council agenda or to ask a public question of council, they may do so either in person at the council chambers or remotely via Zoom. Members of the public wishing to make a deputation or to ask a public question must register in advance with legislative services at 10 in the morning or by 10 in the morning on the day prior. An email will be sent with access information to those who register for remote participation. And you can also do that, by the way, by calling the clerk at 519-538-1060, extension 1100. Deputations are limited to 5 minutes and public questions to 2 minutes. And the public can watch this meeting live via the Municipality of Meaford's YouTube channel, www.meaford.ca/YouTube. So we have a presentation today on behalf of Georgian Bay Symphony, and I'm going to invite David Adair and Holly Bell-Sparling to the podium to make their presentation. Welcome, folks.
Great, thank you for having us. I'm Holly Bell-Sparling. I am a board member on the Georgian Bay Symphony. I'll also just add a plug that I did grow up in this municipality and have recently been become a resident of the municipality of Meaford as well, purchasing a property in Leith. So happy to formally be back. And this is my partner, David Adair, who's the business manager for the Georgian Bay Symphony. So we'll just take a few minutes of your time. If we move to the next slide, David is going to kick off our presentation.
Thank you. Yeah, so just a little background about the Georgian Bay Symphony. In 1972, a group of local musicians got together to form an orchestra and decided to enter that orchestra in the Kiwanis Music Festival, an organization that we have a long-running history with. The adjudicator was so impressed, he went up to them and said, would you guys like to form a permanent community orchestra? That fall, they did their first presentation. We are now an organization 50 some years on from that, of over 50 musicians, a paid orchestra leader, our conductor, and we perform 5 to 6 concerts a year at Eastridge Community School in Owen Sound. Our vision is about connecting community together. As you can see, our tagline is your community, your symphony. Our other tagline that we sometimes use is music you love, played by people you know. You come out to any of our concerts, you are likely to know some of the musicians who perform there. Our musicians and our audience come from around Grey and Bruce County, and about 20% of our musicians and audience come from the municipality of Meaford.
Great. All right, so if we move to the next slide. Just to set a little bit of the business context, our symphony did face challenges in the pandemic, very similar to a lot of small volunteer-led arts organizations, financial hardships, audience re-engagement, the socioeconomic environment as well of our community members. So a bit of a tough time. We're starting to now get into a reinvigoration process. So the board undertook a strategic framework and a refresh from 2024 to 2030 to help us set the stage of a great go-forward path. We are focused on a community interest in music, educational outreach, talent retention, and financial stability. We want to nurture vitality and cultivating community. So we are committed to bold changes at the board, and we are very much interested in securing sustainability of our community's future. And we are entering an exciting period, actually. So a few great things that we have underway is that we do maintain a strong fan base. Concert attendance now has just started to reach what we saw pre-pandemic. At times, it is starting to exceed pre-pandemic volume. So that's great, but it has taken us a bit of time to kind of build back up from that tough phase. We have also recently hired a great new music conductor, Jeffrey Pollock. He's a very engaging director. He's known for vitality and really connecting with the audience. We did actually have an opportunity to host a few council members here at our February concert. Councillor Bell, Councillor Urig, and Deputy Mayor Keaveney were able to participate to kind of see firsthand a little bit about what our orchestra is all about and the types of concerts and performances that we're able to provide to community members. And the third thing that we are now focused on is seeking additional streams of revenue to really help secure our financial security and sustainability to keep this great organization going for many years to come. So if we move to the next slide, we'll just jump right into the concert proposal. So we are interested in seeking council support in funding of approximately $3,000 to $5,000 to host a concert within the municipality of Meaford in 2026 is our goal. The funding that we're asking for would help offset the operational cost of delivering a concert here to your constituents, to help offset the cost of the performance. It would be targeted as a holiday concert is what we're thinking. There could be flexibility on the size of the orchestra that we bring forward, likely dependent on the venue as well in terms of how large is the stage, how many people can we put forward, but a holiday concert is often typically really well received. The bonus would be that it's bringing live orchestral music to your community, and it also aligns with our strategic priority of expanding our audience reach more broadly across Grey and Bruce. As David mentioned, we do host primarily our concerts in Owen Sound, but it would be really great to provide that outreach and extend our community membership by hosting a concert in Meaford. And with that, we'll move to the next slide. Really ends the formal part of our presentation, and we're happy to answer any potential questions you might have.
Councillor Forder.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you. Thanks to the both of you for coming out to present today. Very much appreciate that. Just two quick questions. I see the request here, of course. Are there any other funding sources that are being used to potentially fund this particular concert in question? And what sort of venues are you considering performing at? Thank you.
Sure, you want to go for it, David?
I think what we're looking for is sort of that core funding, the first sponsor to then build upon. And there are a couple of excellent venues in Meaford that we're considering.
Councillor Urig.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for the presentation and thank you for the opportunity to see the symphony as well. It was excellent. It is truly a great production and a real boon to our community. further to Councillor Porter's comments, I'm hoping that you're going to be considering applying to the Meaford Culture Foundation as well for a grant, because that's exactly, I am full disclosure part of that organization, but that does fit exactly kind of what we try and do. Coincidentally, we're kind of partnering with the Leith Sweetwater Festival, and we're doing some violin lessons for youth. So hopefully we're feeding the next generation of your symphony providers. But I just think that it would be a great opportunity for you to as well approach the foundation for some funding, because I think it would be well received and kind of fits the mandate. A question I did have is, so how many members do you have in the symphony? Because boy, there's a lot of people on stage. And if you were to play Meaford Hall, how many actually do you think you could put on the Meaford Hall stage? Sorry.
My ship just came in, I'm sure. So the last time we played Meaford Hall, which was just after the pandemic, we had about 30 musicians on the stage. It gets more difficult with more people like that. The timpani itself take up a lot of space. Cellos are big, but what we would be bringing over is an orchestra. It would not be a 60-piece orchestra, but it would be a full orchestra.
Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I just wanted to thank you for being here today and thank you for the opportunity to attend in February. I mean, singing "O Canada" with the full orchestra, providing the instrumental, just sent shivers up my spine. It was a beautiful experience. And I hope that we can arrange for you to come and do a concert somewhere here in Meaford. Councillor Urick has spoken about Meaford Hall, and there's also the opportunity at Meaford United Church, which may have been the second facility you were considering, which might be a very financially reasonable venue to perform in. Now, there again, I don't know how many members of the orchestra you could put on that stage, but it's just a venue that's definitely worth considering because it can seat, and the mayor will correct me, I think, is it 600 people that you can seat at the United Church?
I would say 500 comfortably.
500? Okay.
It is the biggest venue, I think, for the performing arts really in the area, and at least in the area before you get to Owen Sound. Councillor Greenfield.
Thank you, Your Worship. I mean, did you get finished, Deputy Mayor? Okay. Thanks for the presentation. I want to say hello to David. We have met in the past, and good to see you again, David. Yeah, I think this sounds exciting. I was wondering maybe if the Deputy Mayor was going to suggest the Bogner Community Center, but their stage is a bit small. For, I have to admit, I'm not the biggest classical music fan in the world, and apologize, I don't know a lot about it. To me, classical music is Mozart and Beethoven, and I don't. Now, does your orchestra have? Are they all strings, or do you have brass? Do you have woodwinds?
So it is a full orchestra. We have strings, we have percussion, we have woodwinds, we have brass. We do play both Mozart and Beethoven. For a holiday concert, it would be more Tchaikovsky and the Nutcracker Suite, and more contemporary Christmas carols and other music that fits in with that, that's orchestral.
Okay, sounds terrific. I hope we can put this together.
I don't see any other questions, so thank you very much for the presentation. And I do agree with you that there are certainly good venues in Meaford, and I'm sure that this can be done in a way that will definitely support your financial goals. I just think that I'm very glad to hear Councillor Urig's input about the Culture Foundation, which again is another strength of our municipality, having that facility. So, Deputy Mayor, you wanted to make another comment? Oh, sorry. Okay, then thank you again for your presentation. And now I'm going to call on Ron Lampman, who is going to give us a deputation on behalf of Christmas on the Bay.
Your Worship, Mayor Kentner and members of council, my name is Ron Lampman. I'm currently Director of Finance for Christmas on the Bay. Today, I am presenting on behalf of the Board of Directors in the absence of our President Kimberly Rogers, who is currently out of town. On May the 12th of 2015, Kimberly Rogers, the President of Christmas on the Bay, made a presentation to Meaford Council that included a memorandum of understanding. Christmas on the Bay is asking for council to have a motion to adopt the memorandum of understanding presented at that meeting on May the 12th of 2025. And that concludes my presentation. Any questions?
I'm going to start with Deputy Mayor and I'll go to Councillor Urick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Lampman, for being here to present to us today. I think we probably should have followed up on that on the day that Kimberly presented, and we missed that opportunity. But I did just want to ask staff, our CAO probably in particular, not having those requests from the memorandum of understanding in front of us today, was there anything there that presented any concern to you, Mr. CAO, or are we comfortable going ahead with the request to formulate that memorandum of understanding? I'm not sure if there's anything in there that's precedent setting or if you're comfortable moving forward with everything as it's been requested.
Thank you. You, Mr. Mayor, to the Deputy Mayor. I think one of the key pieces to this is, first of all, the clerk has identified that it is that MOU is actually on item 13-A. I think where I would make the suggestion would be not necessarily council being in a position to adopt the MOU. If council wished to endorse or receive, I think it would be prudent for staff to be able to take a look. I know staff has done quite a bit of work already of putting the associated cost to being able to fulfill those requests within the MOU. It's probably in the neighborhood, I think, just right off the top of my head, probably around $15,000 by the time you get all your rentals in and the snow plowing and that sort of stuff. So staff would be able to be in a position to bring back those numbers just for council's consideration because it is outside of the typical operations, as well as these would be considered what I'm used to calling them subsidies. I think it's always great for the municipality to show subsidies because it is funding, it's dollars that we are getting use of our facilities. However, whether it's a waive or a reduction of fees. So in my review of the MOU, I think it's very typical of these types of events. However, just being able to put a dollar figure, I think would be prudent for council to consider before adopting or approving the MOU. We can do that on a report that just allows for council to consider with all the relevant information. Thank you.
Councillor Urick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Sean. Yeah, I was planning, I did discuss this earlier with the clerk, and under communications, I was going to bring that forward. And I was going to make it a motion that staff work with COTB on the MOU so it could be presented to council for consideration. So I'll be making that motion at that point.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? And back to you, Mr. Lampman.
Yes, we certainly appreciate the cooperation we're getting from municipal staff to do this event. Our DEI proposal and our presentation is one of the largest in Ontario. So, but we certainly appreciate dealing with the municipality and getting cooperation, and we'll be looking forward to the report. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. I don't believe we have any public questions today. Council inquiries. Don't everybody start a stampede here. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, I'll start, and I do have a couple, I'm sorry to say. I wanted to ask about Bayshore Road. We understand we've been waiting for Hydro One to come and do the required work. So I just wondered if there's any update in relation to hydro, and I guess I'll direct that to you, Director Wiley.
Through the chair, yes. So we have signed all agreements associated with the work required, which is pole relocation on Bayshore Road. That is only a few weeks ago. In that agreement with Hydro, it outlines that they have at the most 60 days to start the work. So if they waited till the very last minute, that would be the first week of August. I hope that doesn't happen. And as of today, we still don't have an exact date as to when that work will take place. But once we know, we will make sure that we coordinate and communicate with the public there, just so that they know and have expectations for when that'll take place. We're also currently looking at generating a list of, I'm going to say deficiencies, but things that could be fixed in advance of the work. And I think we all need to also acknowledge that there's some things that can't be fixed until the work is done, just given the nature of what's going on there. So we're going to try our best to identify what we can have our contractor complete in advance of hydro coming, but there will definitely be things that will need to wait until they come back after. But our expectation is that everything will be finished this year for sure.
Mr. Mayor, just to follow up on that, Jessica, so I take from what you're saying that you're also in regular communications with the contractor, with Walker, to make sure that they're ready to step in as soon as Hydro completes their side of things?
Through the chair, yes, we are.
Did anyone else ask a question or go ahead?
Sorry, if anybody else has a question, by all means, but I did have a second one. This one, I'm sorry, is for you as well, Director Wiley. Lakeview Cemetery. Again, we've been 3 years in the process of trying to get the fountains refurbished at the entrance and in the central part of the cemetery. And we have money in the budget this year to undertake this project. So I'm just really hoping that we can secure a contractor and get this work completed. So is there any update on that by chance?
Through the chair. So yes, we actually had money in the budget last year for the project, and we put the work out to tender 2 different occasions and received 0 bids on the work both those times. So we have, and even in between, tried to generate some interest in the contract itself with no avail. So we are currently in the process of, we think we have found someone who is capable and able to do the work. We're just trying to work through what that process looks like to get them in to do the work. Whether you'll see me again with a report to talk about purchasing policy, or if we're just able to have them do it, will all depend on the scope. But I know that a lot of this is weighing on, there are charitable donations, which would like to also be donated, which we're very grateful for. We haven't been able to work with them on that only because we don't know what the cost of the contract is yet. So once that's all squared away this year, we'll be able to work with them to make that happen.
And another?
If I may, Mr. Mayor, I appreciate that, Jessica, and just from our side of the table, we really want this project done this year. And my final question, the splash pad, and that's also in our budget this year. Do we have any tender out for that, or are we hopeful that can be completed this year?
Through the chair, so we had a report to council at the last meeting, which identified there were some property ownership challenges. So now that that is almost complete, we are working on a tender process in order to have someone secured to work on the design and construction. There is things that need to happen on our property as well. So stay tuned for more information on that one.
Councillor Yuri?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Not sure who to direct it to, but just I want to follow up with the patios. I know that it's been a little longer this year but there's been a lot of chatter out there and a lot of questions. Do we just have any kind of a timeline as to when we anticipate that that's going to be coming to fruition?
Or CAO?
Thank you very much through Mr. Mayor to Councillor Yurg. Working with staff on that, I believe the barriers are to be installed later this week, I believe. I believe so. Delivered. Yeah, so put in place this week. The patios have went through the review process, so we're looking at in the very near future, we'll have the patios in place.
Thank you very much. If I may have for the second one, again, this was, a motion was passed last fall. But I just wanted to follow up. I've asked a couple of times just about webcams, downtown. Just curious what any kind of progress is that. We've got some big events coming up again this summer, as we always do, in fall. And I'm just curious whether there's been any progress in terms of having that, become a reality.
I'll, through Mr. Mayor to Councillor Yurg, I'll have to get back, follow up with that information. I'm not sure of the status of that report.
Any other questions today? My memory is maybe not serving me as it should, but I'm going to just ask the status of our approach to STAs, where we sort of feel we are in terms of, because I know we've been inching this but along and trying to get it right. I just don't know where we are today. So
Through
Thank
Mr.
you.
Mayor, I can answer that. So we had a really productive meeting with stakeholders, I would say probably a month ago. There is a meeting that's being scheduled to do a follow-up. I believe we're in a position, we're coming forward with council with additional options and information to take a look at what types of licenses, what the structure would be, and almost opportunities to do a phased-in approach through 2025 to get to a full bylaw in 2026. Working with bylaw staff, there are some pieces that we could put in place that will enhance the level of enforcement in the short term. And Ms. Hines is looking at bringing that information forward in the very near future.
Thank you. Appreciate that. If there's nothing else, we'll move on then to our consent agenda. And we've got two items. So what's your pleasure? Do you want to deal with them together or do you want to deal with them separately? We're okay with together. Then I'm going to read these. Excuse me. The first one, the recommendation is that Council of the Municipality of Meaford, 1, approve the award of Proposal Finance 2024-01, replacement for financial software to MNP Digital Inc., and for $433,471.55, including optional items and the municipality's non-refundable allocation of HST. 2, authorize the treasurer to transfer an additional $33,471.55, including the municipality's non-refundable allocation of HST from the IT reserve. And 3, authorize the mayor and clerk to enter into the necessary agreement. And the second motion is that Council of the Municipality of Meaford approve the completion of a vesting order to merge PINs and formalize the municipal ownership of McCarroll Park. So a mover and a seconder for these two motions, Councillor Bell and Councillor Yurg. Any discussion? All in favor? And that's carried unanimously. Thank you. Items for consideration. The first recommendation is that Council of the Municipality of Meaford direct staff to share the Pumped Storage Advisory Committee resolution entitled Motion for Water Testing from April 10, 2025 with TC Energy to provide comments back to the municipality in response for Council's consideration. Mover and a seconder for this motion, Councillor Forder and Deputy Mayor Keaveney. Discussion on this? Go ahead, Councillor Greenfield.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm just wondering, I'd ask for comments to be provided back to the municipality. since this all originated with the Pump Storage Advisory Committee, I really think it would be appropriate for the comments to come back to the municipality and the Pump Storage Advisory Committee. That's where it started. It seemed to me that the circle should be completed.
Do we have any discussion on that, or do we want a motion and discuss that? So do you want to move a motion, Councillor Greenfield? Yes, is there a seconder? Deputy Mayor? Discussion. Do you have any thoughts, CEO Everett?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think it's a fine suggestion. The intention from a staff perspective would be that it come to council as well as PSAC, but this addition just makes it very clear for members of the public as well. So thank you.
Okay. So, Madam Clerk, have you a motion there that we might hear?
Thank you, Your Worship. It would simply be that the motion be amended to add the Pumped Storage Advisory Committee and inserted before councils. So if that makes sense.
All right, you've heard the motion. Any further discussion? All in favor? And that is carried. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 7. Carried.
If I could ask if we do a motion for those against, that would be very helpful for each of
Okay,
the.
and then, sorry, those against the motion. So you have that. The next item is,
Oh, my apologies, Mayor Kentner. We do have to take a final vote on the main
sorry,
motion.
right.
Thank you.
It's great. I thought we had voted on it, but
My understanding was that we had an amending motion and that was the motion
Oh,
that
yeah,
was just
exactly.
voted on. And then now we can vote
Okay.
on the main
So
motion,
on
which
the-
will
the main-
include
so
the
motion
addition.
as amended, all in favor. And that is carried. Thank you. The next item, be it resolved that bylaw 2025-33 being a bylaw to authorize the appointment of Municipal Support Services, Inc. officers for after-hours canine and livestock control be taken as read a first, second, and third time and finally passed. So a mover and seconder, Councillor Greenfield, and a seconder, Councillor Forder. Thank you. Any discussion on this item? Councillor Bartley?
Thank you, Mayor Kentner. Who is this group? Is it a private group in business to do this, or is it municipal staff? And how do we recoup our costs?
Through Mr. Mayor to Councillor Bartley. So my understanding is this is a private firm. This allows for the after hours. So our bylaw enforcement officer does not have to respond for the canine in the livestock control. As far as the cost recovery, there will be a cost to the town. So that is no different than if it was staff that had to go out collecting overtime. So there would be little to no ability for a cost recovery.
Any other questions? I thought it interesting. This is the first time in a long time that I've read a report that talks about livestock at large in our municipality. I don't know if they realize they're at large. Okay, then I'm going to call the vote. All in favor? And that is carried unanimously. Thank you. And the next item is be it resolved that bylaw 2025-34 being a bylaw to appoint seasonal municipal law enforcement officers be taken as read a first, second, and third time and finally passed. A mover and seconder, Deputy Mayor Keaveney, and a seconder, Councillor Uhrig. Any questions or discussion on this? I see none, so all in favor, and that's carried. Thank you. That was unanimously. The The next item is the recommendation that Council of the Municipality of Meaford approve the appointment of Tim Morawski as the acting chief building official for the municipality of Meaford. Mover and seconder for that, Councillor Greenfield and Councillor Forder. Any discussion, or would you like to speak to that, CAO?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. One of the, just at a high level, our chief building official, Mr. Toby, is currently on leave. I do want to thank the town of the Blue Mountains for the ability to negotiate the use of Tim Morawski. Mr. Morawski is the chief building official for the town of Blue Mountains. We were able to work with the Blue Mountains to secure the services of Mr. Morawski for the 30 days for the acting chief building official for the municipality of Meaford. So really wanted to thank town of Blue Mountains for the opportunity to use those services. Thank you.
Can we vote on this, or is there any? I don't believe we have any questions. All in favor? That is carried unanimously. Thank you. And so we have now an appointment bylaw. The recommendation be it resolved that bylaw 2025-35, being a bylaw to appoint an acting chief building official, be taken as read a first, second, and third time and finally passed. Mover and seconder. Councillor Bell, and seconded by Councillor Greenfield. Everyone's read the bylaw. Any questions? All in favor? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Councillor Greenfield.
Thank you again, Your Worship. This is an exercise we have gone through before previously. We need to do it every few years. And I know I have commented in the past that it's, I think, virtually impossible to choose the correct comparators in a list. The one I really have a problem with in this list is
I think you're ahead.
I'm sorry.
I think you're ahead.
Yeah, you're one item ahead. It's okay. I'm glad that I'm not the only one that can get confused. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, this is a bylaw to appoint the acting chief building inspector. So I don't believe there's any questions on that. All in favor? Thank you. That is carried. So now, actually, we're going to go into committee of the whole. I need a motion to do that. Deputy Mayor and Councillor Uhrig. Be it resolved that Council of the Municipality of Meaford hereby go into committee of the whole at 1:43 p.m. And now we move to the recommendation that Committee of the Whole recommend Council of the Municipality of Meaford approve the following comparators based on the previous 2021 salary market review. And this is for the 2025 salary compensation review. And the comparators are Collingwood, Owen Sound, Wasaga Beach, Midland, Clearview, Saugeen Shores, West Grey, Georgian Bluffs, Tay, Grey Highlands, Penetangwisheen, Hanover, Goderich, and the town of the Blue Mountains. So a mover and a seconder for this motion. Councillor Forder and Councillor Uhrig. Thank you. Discussion on this? Oh, yes, Councillor Greenfield, you were ready to go a while ago.
Thanks very much. Without any more preamble, I do have a problem with Wasaga Beach being on the list. It's a relative neighbor. I realize that. It's growing immensely, has the last few years. I just have a bit of a problem. Both our premier, Mr. Ford, and Mr. Smith, the mayor of Wasaga Beach, are emphatic about it becoming or continuing to be the tourism center of Ontario, and I can't equate that to our municipality. I know we want to grow, we want to prosper, we want to expand, but I just don't see Wasaga Beach as being a good comparator. I also wonder if when the consultant does get down to business, do they take into consideration the tax base of the various municipalities? Now, I don't see any of the members on this list being particularly famous for their industries. I mean, they all do have industries and so on and so forth, but unfortunately, our municipality is not blessed with a great many certainly large industries, and we do have some very, very good small industries. But I just wonder, that's one question I have. Is that taken into consideration? Because obviously industrial tax base is more supportive of our financial situation than the residential is. So let's a couple of suggestions, Your Worship. I would move that Wasaga Beach be removed from the list and be replaced with perhaps another comparator chosen by our staff.
Is there a seconder for Councillor Greenfield's motion? I don't see one. Yeah, you would second it? No? Okay. Do you want, okay, seconded by Councillor Bartley. Yeah, I think that we should have some discussion on this. So you've made your points, and I'm just going to go around the horseshoe on this. Maybe start as a seconder of the motion, Councillor Bartley, if you want to comment.
Thank you, Mayor Kettner. Just curious, there's a couple on here that I don't know why we're comparing to, but I'll get that on the next one. Can you tell me what are your concerns, your biggest concerns? Are they way out of whack on their payroll, or any idea, Artie, what your concerns are with Wasaga Beach?
Well, as I said, it's and maybe it's only my impression, but to me, Wasaga Beach is purely a tourist town. I mean, it's residential, there's no doubt about it, and it has its growth has been amazing. Well, it's a long time ago, but I can remember when Wasaga Beach was 5,000 people, and now it's 35,000. So, I just don't like I don't think of Wasaga Beach as soybeans and beef farms. It's just, to me, a strictly tourist town, and always has been, or I guess always will be. So I just when I look at some of these others, like we do have a good representation of some rural areas, Georgian Bluffs, West Grays on here. Tay has kind of a mix, urban rural. So that's my only concern, is that they're just I don't know how many times I've heard people say we here in our municipality don't want to be another Wasaga Beach, and I just find, for reasons like that, to me it's not an appropriate comparator, in my estimation.
I'm going to go around the table and then I'll come back to you, CAO Everett. Councillor Yorick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Reasonable argument, Councillor. But I'm going to disagree with a little bit, and only because, I mean, if you just want to look at the growth aspect, Blue Mountains went up 33%, whereas Wasaga Beach went 20 in that report. I know there's been a lot of growth there since. My bigger concern is I don't really have any problem with the list at all, because I think if you're going to look at any comparator about 14, what you would normally do is you're going to remove the top three and the bottom three anyway, and then you're going to look at the comparators who are in the middle. The whole point is to get that full breadth of potentials far and wide. Why? I think what I had a question about this report was going to be, and I think it was, I think it's well done. I agree with it all. The points that were made were about what some of the comparators were literally going to be, like services, et cetera. Because what I would like to see is not only the fact that just because you're looking at the population differential, or they're looking at the square footage or the acreage or the size of the municipality. I think the comparator also needs to come down to, it's not just size, but it's also realistically apples to apples. We need to be able to compare ourselves with municipalities that have a harbor, a library, a Meaford Hall. You look at some of the logical ones that we think we would compare ourselves to, and they don't necessarily have those services that we offer. So just because we say, well, we're approximately the same size as Georgia Bluffs or whatever, it's not a direct comparator because we have things that they don't. So that's why I think you need that breadth of municipalities that offer a wide range of things, so that we can look at the breadth of everything and how do we fit in that thing. And to your point about tourism, this is where I'm going to go jump back into the ECDev conversation. Wasaga Beach is truly a tourism location because of the beaches, and their growth is being directed because of their geographic proximity to Toronto. Some would argue that Meaford's one of beyond ag, which is, we love and support. Some would argue that tourism is up and coming in our facility, in our area as well, and it needs to be compared as well. So that's why I don't really have a problem with leaving the list as was presented, because I think it has a full diverse breadth of options to look at as comparators.
Did you wish to speak, Councillor Bartley, on this?
Well, I see where you're going, Harley, but the town of Blue Mountains has more growth than Wasaga Beach. I have an issue with some of these towns. I don't know why Southgate's not on here. I was going to mention Chatsworth. I understand why you can't compare Chatsworth. They don't have near the people that we have, that, like Councillor York was saying, they don't have a harbor. They very limited staff. So I understand Chatsworth. Southgate, I think should be on here before Godrich is on here, in my mind. Biggest issue I have is just about everybody on here is doing the exact same thing, paying the exact same money to a consultant firm. And I don't know why we don't all get together and do one. I really don't understand that. You got a cost on this? Is it 30 grand to do this? And if it is, now we're 14 times 30 grand instead of one. That's my concern.
Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I don't really have an issue with any of the communities that are listed, because in my mind, employees sometimes tend to move around, and these are our competitors, so to speak, in terms of where, staff may consider moving to if they're looking to move forward in their careers, or whatever the circumstance is. So I don't have any issue with the list as is. I did have a question, though, for council's consideration, and this is always hard to talk about, but it was 2021 when the last remuneration exercise was completed for council, and we had a group of volunteers undertake that exercise at that point in time, who did a really incredible professional job of looking at council compensation. So I'm just curious if there's any interest at this point in adding to this particular report a second phase, if you will, that would also review council compensation, considering that, we are coming up to our last year of this term, and might, if there was any changes recommended, have that in place for the next term of council.
You're going to tell us that we're, go ahead. Clerk.
Thank you. I think it's just appropriate at this time to pause to recognize that we do have a motion on the floor that we're entertaining, that that number 3 Wasaga Beach be removed from the list of comparators. And I believe the end part of that had been that staff replace that item with a different one. So that is the motion on the floor, but certainly I didn't
Yes.
want to interrupt the discussion, but I think one and then the other would be great.
I think we could come back to that but we should resolve this motion. Anyone want to speak to the question of whether Wasaga should be in or out? Then if not, let's hear from CAO Everett.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First off, I just really want to highlight the fact that when I penned this report, I had a number of different municipalities that, I thought would potentially be good comparators. However, I also thought that this time of the year, and with this being an approved project through the 2025 budget, I thought it'd be prudent to bring forward the recommendation based on using the comparators from 2021 being the last time we did this. The Wasaga Beach piece, when we look at comparators and when we look at this for a salary compensation review, we have to remember that when we go through the consultant will generate which positions are comparable. So we're not looking at communities comparing to one another. We're looking at positions, specific positions in an organization that are comparables. So we may find that out of these 14, a position may have a very strong comparator of maybe 10 or 12 that are comparable. Some of those positions we may find when you look at their job descriptions, we may only have a comparator of 2 or 3. So it gets into that minutia. Then you start looking at, the makeup of the community, and that can be everything from what's the growth like, what are the specific services, what are the geographic boundaries, is it a mix of rural and urban? So for instance, when you look at Hanover, Hanover is purely an urbanized municipality, right? Their positions, however, may be very similar. So when a consultant goes through it, they'll also look at, is it a unionized environment? And those may not be great comparators for certain aspects. I do want to say that the 2021 review did not include anything under a grade 6, I believe. This is a comprehensive study. So this will go right from the grade 1 right up through to grade 17. To Councillor Bartley's point, the approved budget on this is $30,000. And this is one of those studies I think would be very hard to do with, all of the municipalities in Grey County or Grey and Simcoe. Just because not every community is a good fit. And quite frankly, it's good that there's a bit of a rotation. So for instance, a municipality that may have set the 55th percentile, which we're not doing today, we're not setting percentile, it's a bit of a driving factor from one another. So the Southgate comment, very good comment. It's the one that sort of came to mind because it is a growing community. Southgate is so much, it's got a different look, seems like every month. It would be a very good comparator just from a development perspective. So that's sort of the rationale. And I do want to say that, this could be a 3-hour workshop coming up with comparators. The goal is to be able to get this work done no later by the end of August. The RFP is out. So the goal to get this done by August is so we can actually inform the 2026 budget. So when you see the draft, it is actually it's including the wages and benefits that are reflective of the 2025 salary review. Any longer, once you start getting in September, October, it becomes a bit of a guesswork for staff as to what the percentage is going to be. So that was really my rationale for sticking with the 2021 salary market review, because I do think there's a significant amount of work, and I think it's work that's is needed for the next salary review to really go through what are your comparators. But like I say, that's typically like a three-hour workshop to really define. The last piece I just want to say though, a consulting firm, they will do a very good job of explaining how the comparators, in one position, you could have a set of comparators that match one of the other municipalities, and then another position that matches with a completely different other set of comparators. But the criteria that they will also look at is what is the cost of living? Because I would say a lot of these municipalities will have a significantly different cost of living in their community as it would be in Meaford. And that is something that I think is playing more and more of a role on salary reviews, especially in waterfront communities. So that's an important factor that we just keep in mind. We're not really comparing typically the communities to communities. It's the positions within the organization and how they compare with those other positions in that organization. So hopefully that's helpful.
Councillor Forder?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you. I don't necessarily have any objections to any of the comparators, but I do understand that several of them have unionized staff. And I would just like to know how this review would separate union and non-union compensation to potentially avoid skewing the results. So how would that factor in?
Through Mr. Mayor to Councillor Forder, that would be something that the consultant would pay very, very close attention to, understanding that whether or not it's a unionized workplace or not, it is a different setup. However, I do want to say within organizations, unionized does impact the non-unionized organizations as well. And we see it in other municipalities close to us that, sometimes we will lose staff to other organizations that do have unionized. However, I've also seen it where sometimes people realize that going to a non-unionized environment is worthy of making that change as well. But the consultants will very clearly identify what of those organizations, and again, of those positions, what are unionized positions? Because in a municipality, you may have the bulk of your departments non-unionized, and you may have just one union for a specific department. So hopefully that's helpful.
Councillor Urick?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for clarification, Sean. That helps. And my only question is with that $30,000 and what the number 14, was that random or was that a request from the consultant say I want 14? Because if it's not, could we not just add Southgate? Because I also thought, as Councillor Bartley did, that I thought that was kind of fit in the bailiwick of kind of our scope. So I mean, I would make make a motion, an amendment that to add Southgate to the list as opposed to taking any away, just to add that as another comparator.
Yeah, we can certainly entertain a motion to amend the motion at this point. Is there a seconder for that? Deputy Mayor?
Sorry, just my apologies for interrupting. I think we may want to deal with removing one first, and then we can talk about adding one unless the replacement is actually the request. So if we're replacing Wasaga Beach with Southgate, that maybe could be combined. If we're going to just talk about removing Wasaga Beach and then perhaps introduce the option to add additional ones would be cleaner if that's acceptable.
So you're saying that we could not entertain an amendment to this amendment, I guess, is what you, yeah, okay, so we'll deal with it first. So yeah, you have a suggestion, Councillor Greenfield? You got us into this, see if you can get us out.
Yeah, nice one. Well, could I, just to muddy the waters a little more, could I suggest replacing Wasaga Beach with Southgate? I would withdraw my amendment and reintroduce this.
And I think that's, if he withdraws his amendment,
If
that's,
Councillor Bartley would go along with that.
yep. So, if you are withdrawing your first motion, and are you suggesting that your motion should read adding Southgate? Oh, replacing Wasaga Beach with.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so the motion, and we will need a seconder for that, I expect, and it's seconded by Councillor Bartley. So now the motion is to replace Wasaga Beach with Southgate. Any further discussion? Then let's vote. All in favor? And that is not 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it is carried. Okay. Thank you. And I think that makes a lot of sense. Councillor Bell?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Open for conversation on the basic body of the conversation.
Yes.
Okay. So this, of course, is concerning to all members of council, and it's concerning to all members of our current staff. This is a subject matter that always comes up. It comes up even in our budgetary time. We're talking about the lives of real people with real families, and what we're trying to set ourselves up here with is to make sure that the staff that we currently have feel happy that the wages that they are being compensated for is that they believe and they feel themselves that where I'm living and for what I am doing, I am being compensated that sits well with myself. We also have to set ourselves up that when we advertise for new folks coming in, they take a look at the municipality of Meaford and they are living somewhere else, even farther afield than this group that we have here. They're making a decision personally and with their family to uproot and to move to the municipality of Meaford. In order to do so, they're going to take a look at a job posting and they're going to say, if I go to Meaford, what am I going to do? And what's the expectations of what I'm going to be compensated for coming from where I currently am? So we have to set ourselves up to be attractive enough to make those qualified personnel even say, I'm going to submit a resume for us to even contemplate whether they should join the municipality of Meaford. So saying that, being in business, I have had, and I'm sure there's other business people around this horseshoe. I have had individuals after I have trained them and they've hit a plateau and they come in and they go, boss, I got something to tell you. And what's up? I'm going to move, and I find out that they're away 2.5 to 3 hours from here. There's no way I am stopping them. I want that individual to move forward in their lives. I wish them well. And I'm telling them that from my training I give them, I know you will do well. And so we thank each other for services rendered and so on. On the other side, attracting someone to come in. Where are you coming from? I'm also coming in, and sometimes I've had folks who are coming from a very high profile. I can't match them. I cannot match them with the hourly rate or the benefits that they are possibly leaving behind. It's a total package that we're looking at. My concern is that we set ourselves up, I believe we say 55th percentile. Have we dropped that? We're 50. So we're right in the middle of the pack of when you come here, this is the expectations. This is the lifestyle. This is what, and as our CAO has said, what is your cost of living? It's a cost to buy a house should you want one. What is that? So there are some of these places that are listed here that if a person still retained to live here in our municipality and driving over to Godrich in the middle of the winter would not be very easy to do. And I can say that because in my younger life, when I was in my mid-40s, I lived here. I had a job in Cambridge, and it did not work out very well in the wintertime. My life was in my hands on the highway. So
I just want to make sure that when we go through this, we set ourselves up with proper comparables, that when somebody says there's a job posting, that what we're saying in our reasonableness, this is the expectations. To know whether we're doing it right will be when our HR advertises and comes to council and says, we have no applicants. That's a problem. It's also something to be concerned about if our HR said, we have this job and I'm swamped. That's also showing a bit of an imbalance. So my position on this, whichever ones we use, is okay. And my fellow counselor here has told me that we're at the 50th percentile. To stay comfortable there, using reasonable comparators, that we have reasonable compensation for those that are with us currently and reasonable enough to attract those in the future. So I'm happy to move forward with this as written, but that's my whole thing. And I know all of you think the same, because it's extremely important to us, our workforce. So thank you for the time, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Bartley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to give my little personal history lesson. Going back to Councillor Forder with the union, non-union, whether you like it or not, you have to compare. In my industry, 40 years, I was unionized. 4 out of 5 industries were unionized, 1 wasn't. The non-union shop paid almost the same as a unionized shop to keep the union out. So you have to compare. They are competitors and it has to be part of it. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I apologize earlier, I was ahead of myself, but I just wanted to come back to the conversation to see how council felt about the potential, if it's not too late in the RFP process, of adding council remuneration review onto this particular exercise along with the staff review, just again, thinking that we're, coming up to the last year of our term and to have that in place for the next term. So I just wanted to put that out for conversation.
Are you making that, like, are we,
That a motion? Yes.
okay, is there a seconder for the motion? Seconded by Councillor Urick. Discussion, Councillor Bartley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Would that change the budgetary amount? Obviously, he's going to do that, so that's something we have to discuss.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Bartley, yeah, it would definitely change the amount. We currently have an amount of $30,000. Doing previous work last year, I would say you'd probably be in the 15 to 18. For that, I would look to our treasurer to see whether or not reserves would be available to do that. I can tell you from experience, doing these at the same time works very effectively. My previous work on that was we did both studies at the same time and used all the same comparators. And looking at our list, the comparators I think would be very good comparators for council as well. And it's not doesn't extend the timeline. As far as the RFP, we have a chance to be able to, if council wished, we could do an addendum. Could also show it as a provisional item. That way the RFP can go through. If it's a bigger price than what you thought, doesn't hold the salary review back. It's just simply a provisional item that we could either accept the provisional item or just reject the provisional item. So we do have the ability to do that within the RFP. And just look to their treasurer to confirm whether or not reserves would be available for that.
Through you, Mayor. Yes, we could probably find some money in the HR reserve.
I don't see a lot more discussion. Do you want to vote on this at this point? Are you ready to vote? All in favor? And that's carried unanimously. That's great. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And do we need a vote on the entire or the original motion? Unless there's any further discussion, all in favor? That's carried unanimously as well. Okay. Updates from County Council for one. I'll ask Deputy Mayor Keaveney to give us her report.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. And actually, County Council hasn't met since we last met. The next County Council meeting will be this Thursday. I did thought I might use this few minutes, though, to talk about FCM, if that was agreeable with everyone. I did attend FCM last week in Ottawa. That was from May 29th until June 1st. I did go through Grey County, but I thought there were a few things that I would like to share with this council. The theme of FCM was Stronger Together. The first session focused on equity and inclusion and was an important reminder that all people deserve to be heard and acknowledged. And that really struck a chord with me because we hear a lot about equity and inclusion, and we heard it earlier in connection with Christmas on the Bay. But it really was a focus that we need to really sit back and hear and acknowledge everyone. And I really took away the message as well that we can do more to welcome newcomers to Meaford. We have a lot of different people coming into Meaford now of different nationalities, and I think we can do more to make them all feel at home. I attended a really interesting study tour where we learned about a program supported by the City of Ottawa that involves returnable plastic containers for takeout foods. The containers can be washed up to 1,000 times. That's done at the Ottawa Airport, and they have a 95% return rate for this program. So there's a number of grocery stores and restaurants participating in it. I don't know that it works for a small community like ours, but it's really successful in Ottawa. Keynote speakers included National Indigenous Chief Cindy Woodhouse Nepanak, who reminded us that we all share the four elements of water, air, earth, and fire. She took us right back to the basics. The chief spoke to her frustration in securing funding for infrastructure projects on reserves. Her people feel disrespected because of this. The Indigenous can't borrow money for projects from banks, and they have to go to the government and ask for funding to do anything in their communities, and she was really struggling with that. Marcia Walden, CEO of Destination Canada, spoke about the importance of a focus on tourism. 1 in 10 jobs across Canada is dependent on tourism, and she recommended the creation of a sustainable tourism development strategy based on intentional visioning, and I thought that might be something we could consider here in Meaford. She talked about the importance of keeping our communities well-maintained and attractive, and we're certainly focused on that here. FCM CEO Carol Saab spoke to the importance of local municipalities, provincial and federal governments working together to build a stronger Canadian economy. This was followed by a really interesting panel discussion led by FCM President Rebecca Bly with mayors from Canada and the US. And we heard loud and clear that American communities are facing the same challenges we are as a result of the Trump tariffs. The mayors along the border communities have formed an alliance to support one another, and they're really pleased to be working together. Prime Minister Mark Carney did address FCM and spoke to his focus on addressing housing challenges with a $25 billion investment to the private sector for affordable builds, creating many opportunities for skilled trades. He intends to slash DCs in half over the next 5 years while keeping municipalities financially whole. He did make that promise. He also intends to encourage the construction of nationally significant projects to create a culturally sustainable future for everyone. So that was exciting. Elizabeth May was dynamic as always and spoke to her desire to work like a country, not in silos, and to her plan to support Prime Minister Carney so that he can be the best Prime Minister he can be. I really liked that. Canada needs strong leadership in these difficult times. She said 1 economy, not 13 economies, and I really agreed with that. The next plenary left a message that we are already familiar with, but the reality is that 15% of Canadians live rurally, yet we are responsible for 36% of our country's infrastructure. There was really a focus on our need for funding from upper levels of government. Melissa Lanceman, Deputy Leader of the Conservative Party, focused on the affordability crises. 59% of renters are facing food insecurity, and that's a pretty staggering statistic across the country. Three resolutions were supported. FCM will call on the federal government to ensure equitable access to healthcare services for all rural, remote, and northern communities, including the provincial norths. And the second, FCM will call on the federal, provincial, and territorial governments to reduce remaining internal trade barriers on an urgent basis. And the third, FCM will call on the federal government to ensure municipal infrastructure is eligible for federal investment through the new Federal Trade Infrastructure Program. Municipalities need a long-term commitment for infrastructure funding so that we can appropriately budget. I attended an interesting session on AI, and the speaker stressed that we all need a digital data framework policy. AI is all around us, and we are sooner or later going to have to deal with it. And that was high level, as I say, the highlights from FCM. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's good. Was there any report from the Accessibility Advisory Committee? Go ahead, Councillor Greenfield.
Thank you, Your Worship. And before I begin, I want to thank the Deputy Mayor for attending that conference. I think that was very important. What you said, all of the people need acknowledgement, and I don't know. It's too often we hear too much of Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver, but those three magnificent cities are not all of Canada. They're not all Canadian municipalities, and we are all of importance. And I'm really glad that you did go to that conference, and thank you for the report. Back to accessibility, where we did meet. We reviewed our terms of reference, and I think all of our members were quite comfortable that they, as they applied a couple of years ago, they still seem to be fairly in agreement with all of the terms. We did meet at a time of Accessibility Week in our country, and again, I think all of our members are overall pleased with the efforts that our municipality has made with municipal buildings, parks, any facilities, and helping to make everything as accessible as possible. There's always a little more work to do, but I think everybody is overall quite pleased with our efforts. One major item that we did discuss, get into discussing, was the Grey County Accessibility Committee. Our particular municipality is the only lower tier that is not involved in the Grey County Accessibility Committee, and there was some discussion. There's no doubt about it. The county has, I think, more resources, both finances and staff, to offer for accessibility projects. The local committee very adamantly expressed their opinion that they were very proud of what we had accomplished here in our particular municipality, and really thought that we should continue. However, we did agree that future interaction with the County Accessibility Committee was needed, and would be advantageous, and hopefully we can have somebody from the county come and talk to us in the near future. I think that's the main points of the meeting.
Thank you. Any other boards or committees? Councillor Yuri.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Grey Sauble Conservation Authority Board met on May 28th. It was a busy meeting with the board accepting the 2024 audit approving the 2025 operating and capital budgets, approving the 2025 priority work plan and the 2025 to 2035 strategic plan, and receiving hearing board training. The GSEA staff are settled in temporary offices in the Owen Sound Post Office building, and the administration building renovations are underway. Final decisions on the roof and skylight design are still under discussion. The CAO reported on a number of recent initiatives. The English Falls accessibility upgrades are almost complete. The very popular GSEA annual tree sale raised over $19,000. The annual World of Trees event successfully saw 120 grade 3 students learn about the importance of trees, as you'd be happy, Jessica, as well as how to plant new and care for existing trees. The CAO also reported that the Haibu land claim dispute had been satisfactorily settled, with the legal decision confirming that Haibu is 100% GSEA owned. There was some concern about that because there was a private claim on that, and there was concern that that might go the other way. Finally, the Grace Harbor Conservation Foundation hosted the 7th Earth Film Festival. This year's feature was the locally produced and shot film All Too Clear. This is really a fascinating film. Anyone interested in seeing it, about how the quaggas mussels have devastated the whitefish population in the Great Lakes, can watch the film for free on TVO. Over 300 students attended the afternoon screening, and over 250 attendees were at the evening showing of the film and were able to ask the Stokes Bay filmmakers, Yvonne Drebert and Zach Melnick, questions about how they made this amazing underwater film. It's pretty fascinating. It really went into detail about what exactly has happened with the depletion of the whitefish in our Great Lakes. That's all I had on Grace Harbor. And if I may continue, I also have a Grey Bruce OPP detachment board meeting summary as well. That the OPP detachment board met May 27th. The body was very delayed in forming, and the first couple of meetings have been spent dealing with establishing procedures and policies, such as passing the final financial report for 2024, receiving information regarding the detachment board logo and branding, establishing the board check signing authority policy, and passing the procedural bylaw. Now that the structure is in place, the board hopes it can start to focus on its mandate, which is overseeing the delivery of police services by the OPP, ensuring accountability and fostering collaboration between the police and the community. The board approved the 2025 budget, and it's important to note that because the province has eliminated detachment board funding, the annual levy for the 9 participating municipalities will increase from $5,000 to $10,000 annually. The board will be sending a letter to the province requesting funding for these bodies be reinstated, and recommended that members also lobby for this at municipal conferences. Detachment Commander Marla Barfoot presented a Q1 January to March 2025 OPP report, noting there were no notable increases in criminal activity or policing requirements. It's important to note that when they do the reports, that they're looking at the whole district as a whole. They're not breaking out individually municipalities. We asked about that because it would be interesting to see how we compare with other municipalities. They are looking at that possibility down the road, but right now it is going to be the high level snapshot. We can request the information if we require it. And finally, the board agreed to help fund the Crime Stoppers, as the OPP believes this organization provides important information and is a valuable service to the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bell?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. May I ask Councillor Yurg a question?
Mhm.
Councillor Yurg, again, I thank you for your sitting on that OPP board. Were they successful in getting 2 members from our First Nations to serve on that board?
There are 2 members from First Nations that are named on the board. The one has been in attendance at the meetings I've been to thus far. I have not seen the other attendee to this point, but they are appointed.
I believe there's a seminar, like a Zoom seminar coming up, and you're aware of that, CAO Everett. That's, one of us should be at that, and I suggest it be you. So I think we're ready for a motion to move out of committee of the whole. That's moved by Councillor Bartley, seconded by Councillor Forder. All in favor? And we're doing that at exactly 2:30 PM this afternoon. And we move on to councillor motions. I believe, Deputy Mayor, you have a notice of motion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have 2 notices of motion today. The first is in relation to Bay Shore Road, and the motion will be to ask for a staff report to reconsider the decision that we made on Bay Shore Road, because in my mind, that first block up to Market Lane should be urbanized with actual curb and gutter, because now they've got these quite horrific deep ditches that are very unattractive and very difficult to maintain, and people are not happy with them. So I'd like to understand what would be involved in urbanizing that first section. And the second motion, the second notice of motion, that is, will be requesting staff to develop a policy defining standards for recreational facilities, both indoor and outdoor. In particular, I'm looking for standards for pickleball courts. And those are the 2 notices.
Okay, and we also, I think, moving on to motions for decision, you have a motion that I'll get you to introduce and get a seconder for. Right. Oh, I beg your pardon, I did not see you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sorry, getting in a little bit late on this one. I do have a notice of motion. It's with regards to the contract renewal between the Meaford Culture Foundation and Meaford Hall as per MCF's request that was made to council on September 23rd, 2024, please.
Okay, go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And the motion on the floor today is with regards to downtown weed control, and I'll read it for anyone listening. The recommendation, whereas the municipality provides flowers, street and sidewalk sweeping, lighting, and banners to make our downtown attractive and inviting. Whereas in past years, the level of service addressing weed management in this area included 1 application of spray. Whereas in the 2025 budget, there is funding for a single application for all sidewalks. Whereas a weed-free environment furthers our ability to attract local and tourists to spend time in Meaford. And whereas the desire of our businesses and residents is to foster a beautiful and vibrant commercial sector in the downtown core. Therefore, be it resolved that Council of the Municipality of Meaford directs staff to prepare a report identifying an increased level of service and costing for 2025 for options including weed control for all sidewalks in the downtown, weed control on Sykes Street from Boucher Street to Collingwood Street, and all sidewalks between Cook and Bayfield Streets, and that the report be presented for council's consideration on or before the council meeting scheduled for July the 7th, 2025. So I think that's fairly self-explanatory. We do really appreciate the work that has been done recently by a number of volunteers who have stepped forward to help get the downtown cleaned up from weeds and swept in many areas from the sand from this past winter. And I just want to make sure that we're able to maintain that. So that's the reason for this motion, is so that we can get an understanding of what might be involved in an additional spraying of that particular downtown core area.
Is there a seconder for the motion? Councillor Bell, thank you. Discussion, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. I fully support this, and I would like to add specifically a C to your motion. And I would like to add specifically the Meaford Hall's yard. Anybody who takes a little trip down there, it's a big garden. And anyone who just takes a small stroll through there can see the message that is being sent. And everything that the deputy mayor is saying in here, I agree with, because we are sending a message currently, but it is not the message that we truly do want to send. And everything that you have said in here, Madam Deputy Mayor, about the attraction and about the look, I agree with. If you take a little walk at the Meaford Hall, there's a post right across from the new restaurant. There's a cap on top. I took the cap off and had a look inside. There used to be a light. What we are presenting to those that visit, in particular, walking right past that, going to a performance at the Meaford Hall, somebody else is going to take that cap and have a look and say, I wonder what that was. So I would just simply like to add to the report that is being requested from staff to add an item C, the yard outside the Meaford Hall. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I very much appreciate that suggestion, Councillor Bell. If you're talking about the actual gardens at Meaford Hall, I'm fearful that might be a project separate from what I'm asking for in this motion. Those gardens are overgrown, and yes, they are very much in need of a complete redo. In my mind, and I will look to our CAO, those gardens need to be completely pulled out. They need to be completely redone. That's going to require a landscape plan, probably some engineering, and it's going to be, it's going to cost some money. So I'm thinking that's a 2026 budget consideration. The gardens at Meaford Hall, what I'm looking to do with this motion is really get the weeds under control. As much as I'd love to do those gardens this year, I think Val's going to say she has no money for Meaford Hall Gardens. So, but that'll come up in the 26 budget for sure. And, but that's what I'm looking for here is just because we all remember past years where you could go downtown and weeds were 2 and 3 feet tall in some places. So we want to keep those controlled this year so that our downtown is clean and free from weeds, and then we'll go at those gardens.
So Bell.
Thank you once again, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. So you're giving this some consideration. I knew that you would. So you're right. It will be a lot of money. And it will be something then that maybe we can count on yourself to bring forward my item C as an individual item for 2026. I'll leave that with yourself. Thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion on the motion? If you're ready to vote, all in favor? That's carried unanimously. Thank you. You have another motion here. Or am I? Okay, I think I just didn't realize how long your motion really was. So we have a recommendation be it resolved that Council of the Municipality of Meaford hereby adopt the minutes of the council meeting held on May 26, 2025, and the closed meeting held on May 26, 2025. A mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Forder, seconded by Councillor Greenfield. Ready to vote, all in favor? That is carried unanimously. And what about the communications agenda? Anyone have a Councillor Urick?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to discuss 13A, the letter from Christmas on the Bay regarding the memorandum of understanding request. I would like to make a motion that this be presented to staff to work with Christmas on the Bay for consideration of that request, and they can prepare a report and then come back to council on recommendations on that request for the MOU.
We need a
Second.
seconder. Yes, okay. So you're seconding it, Councillor Forder. Any discussion? All in favor? That's carried unanimously. Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to pull B, which is the letter requesting consideration from council to change the name of bridges 21 and 22. And this is a very well composed letter from the agricultural group that has been formed out in the Bogner area. And I know that they have done considerable research themselves, looking into potential names for the bridges. And they have recommended to council that at the ribbon cutting ceremony that the bridges be named the Sydenham Twin Bridges. And I think that's highly appropriate, recognizing the location of the bridges, and they are, even though it looks like one bridge, it is still two structures. So the Sydenham Twins is the name that has been suggested here by the group, signed by their current president, Brad Torrey, and I would like to honor that with council's support and be able to formally cut the ribbon on the Sydenham Twin Bridges. So just looking for council's support.
Um, If I may ask, Clerk, if this is something we need a motion for, or simply vote to accept this name?
Thank you, Mayor Kentner. My suggestion is that we do have a motion to direct that the bridges be formally named. I don't know if there's any more discussion on that.
And we can do this here and now?
That could be done now. We are in council portion.
We have the motion from, and a seconder is Councillor Greenfield. Thank you. Any discussion at all? Councillor Bartley?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The letter didn't come on my agenda. Did it get sent out separately? It says on my agenda, it says not available. So I might have the wrong agenda. So having said that, I was going to argue with the name of the bridges. It's not the Sydenham River, but I understand it's in the Sydenham Township. And if the good people of Bognor come up with that, I'm good with that. Thank you.
I think, can't speak for everybody until everybody's spoken if they wish to, but I think that this is a good choice that reflects, many things, but particularly this is a bridge that is important to the agriculture industry in the former Sydenham Township, and it sure makes sense to me. Councillor Bartley?
And one last thing, I would like to apologize to everybody in the municipality. In 2015, there was a 300-page report. We were brand new councillors, and inside there, one line was saying we're going to close those bridges. I missed it. We missed it. Took us years to correct it. It's now been corrected, but I do apologize for making the mistake in 2015. Thank you.
I think it shocked us all how long it took to get this, but I would say that in those intervening years, the cost of bridge building quadrupled or quintupled. So I think that we not only did we get this achieved, but we did it at a reasonable cost, and so I think we're all very happy we'll be at that ribbon cutting. Councillor Bartley?
One last comment, if I can, Mr. Mayor. I understand what you just said, but it did bring another opportunity forward on bridge building that we wouldn't have found if we didn't dig in that deep.
Yeah.
A whole new way of bridge building for bridges, just like what we just have done. So it's a bittersweet moment. We have learned from it, and I think we come out all right.
Thank you. So we better vote on that while we're, before we forget. All in favor? That's unanimous. Anything else from the communications agenda? Seeing nothing. Anything from correspondence? Deputy Mayor?
If you're ready for it from the correspondence, Mr. Mayor.
Mhm.
And I believe, I just wanted to ask staff number 4 from Jason Petznick, if there was any update or clarification on his request in relation to the McCarroll Park Master Plan and the Center Street Park property updates. So I just turn that over to staff, if I may, and ask for any updates there.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through the mayor, yes, I have had a couple of questions about this, and I think staff had been working on getting an update back to this letter. Is that you don't know? My apologies. I know that Rick had provided a little bit of information, was anticipating providing some more. I wasn't sure if that had happened, but I think if we can get back to the resident at some point, we can provide an update to council at the time as well. Thanks.
Anything else on correspondence? Then at this time, We have a recommendation, be it resolved that Council of the Municipality of Meaford does now go into a closed session at 2:45 PM with the CAO, Acting Clerk and Director of Human Resources / Community Services in attendance to discuss personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, specifically related to a CAO performance review, both 30 and 60 days. Mover and a seconder, Councillor Forder, seconded by Councillor Bell. Thank you. And at this point in time, we'll be going into a closed session and we will be reporting out when that session is finished. Thank you. So we are back and reporting out from our closed session this afternoon with the CAO, Acting Clerk and Director of Human Resources / Community Services in attendance to discuss personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, and specifically related to a CAO performance review, both 30 and 60 days. I just tell you that those are all the matters that we discussed in the closed session. And with that, I'll adjourn this afternoon's meeting.